It is time to move from research organizer to writing the content draft of the research paper. The purpose of the research organizer was to give you, obviously, a pyramid look at your paper, and the topic sections and the support sections, where the body of the paper will correspond with APA headings. So let's take a look at a research paper sample. Here we have the first page of the research paper. Remember, there are videos on this on our Blackboard page for you to look at. But we have the running head up here. We have the title centered. Remember, the title should be at least 12 words for an APA research paper. Your name, the course, you can put my name on it, and the date written out fully. The second page of the research paper is the abstract. Notice the block format of the abstract. The abstract is 150 to 200 word summary of your paper. This will be the last paragraph you write. You cannot write the summary of your paper until you've written the paper. Page 3 is where the body of the paper begins. This is where we'll begin counting to see that you have gotten 4 to 5 pages of research. Notice it starts with the title from the first page centered, and then indented starts the introduction. Your introduction should be engaging. Look to your research organizer. Are you using a statistic or a quote? Are you using some interesting research questions that you're going to answer in the paper? Do you have a scenario that you're starting with to kind of give your reader perspective of what the research is about? Please remember that the last sentence of the introduction is your thesis, and your thesis is not a question. This is an informative paper. You're going to state what the reader will find in the paper. So here we have the student who says PPD, and that's her abbreviation for postpartum depression, which if you're going to abbreviate, you have to show us the first time what the abbreviation will stand for, is a serious illness. And the task at hand is diagnosing, that will be the first topic of her paper, understanding the associated devastations, that'll be the second topic, looking for possible treatments, and trying to prevent postpartum depression, which the students put the treatments and the prevention in one section. So that was the third topic from her research organizer. And you can look back at the research organizer. It's the same topic as this paper. So you can kind of put them side by side to see what this student did. So here we have diagnosis, and she starts with screening studies. Remember, APA requires you to use APA citation format in there. Your textbook has information on it, as does our Blackboard course. You want to make sure you start your paragraphs with a topic sentence, not a question. This is informative. You're not asking your reader questions. You're actually answering your own research questions to inform your reader of what you found as answers to those questions. So you're going to start with a topic sentence that's something in your own words. You're going to tie in research. You're going to use information throughout from sources, whether you're synthesizing sources together using one source in a section. You're going to use transitions to make sure that your reader feels that the paper has a lot of flow to it and unity and coherence. Here's the second subtopic under diagnosis is tools. Here you'll notice that she uses a different source. She uses PPD again as her abbreviation. And this sample paper is on Blackboard. You can look through to how she starts with her own topic. In between, she kind of clarifies information from the sources. Not everything is totally source information back to back. She transitions with ideas that she has learned through the research process. And she always ends with a sentence that kind of ties that paragraph back up. So she says, doctors may feel that even though these tools may be useful, again, this was the tools section, and she's kind of trying to let you know sort of what should be gained from reading that section. Her second topic was devastations. Here she's called it tragedies. She talks about family depression, elevated PPD levels as being part of the tragedies associated with it, and how it can lead to postpartum psychosis. So within her second topic, she has 3 subtopics, or 4 actually, that she's looking at in her research. Again, tying it in with various source information in order to let you know that while you're reading her paper, this is not a first-person point of view paper where she's the expert. She's looking to other experts to sort of answer her questions. Then her third topic was prevention and treatments, and here she has family, progesterone prevention treatment, and preventative steps that can be taken. So again, topic 3 has 3 subtopics in it, tied together with support from sources that she's used throughout. Remember, If you have a quote, you use quotation marks and you take it word for word from the source. Most of your paper should be paraphrasing, meaning you're reading a source and you're putting it into your own words, but you still have to cite it because it was not your original idea. You're borrowing that idea from your source. Taking something from a source and not giving proper attribution to it is kind of like identity theft. I know we call it plagiarism, but if you think of the world today and people are so concerned with having their identity stolen, your authors would be too, to know that their information was taken and used in a paper without proper credit. And then finally, the student has a conclusion where she's tying up all those loose ends. Her conclusion also kind of gives a little hope to anybody reading this, since postpartum depression is a heavy topic. She does say that new mothers need to find ways to cope with their newborns. She talks about future mothers not having to endure this if the research continues. And she's saying that each day is a step closer to solving this illness, that right now the research is still continuing, but that mothers today are in a better position to kind of understand this disease and seek help for it than were mothers back a number of years ago. She ends with her reference page. Her sources are in APA format with a hanging indent. They are in alphabetical order by last name. If you have a source without an author's name, look to the APA guidelines of using the title as author. And again, you can go to a number of websites to help with APA citation. You can use a citation generator. Just make sure if you're going to do that, that you check the accuracy of that generator against what it says in our textbook and what it says in the APA guideline rules for doing that. This student also had an appendix. Actually, she had two appendixes or appendices in her paper. This is matter that comes at the end of the paper that's too big to fit in the body of the paper. So you notice appendix 1 is very lengthy, and it would have been too bulky to put right in the body of the paper. So if I go back to her paper to look, you have to make sure you're telling your audience that there's an appendix. So if I look back into diagnosis, right here she says Appendix 1 illustrates the studies performed on pregnant women, and Appendix 2 illustrates studies completed after childbirth. This is so that her reader will go to the end of her paper, read the appendix, see how this ties in with the research, then go back to reading the paper. So please consider that as you're writing. If there's some big piece of information that won't fit in the body of your paper, a table, a chart, some kind of statistics, some kind of graphs that you feel would help enhance your paper, to consider putting them in as an appendix at the end of the paper. And remember, we begin counting from page 3 for a 4 to 5 page paper. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half. So the student's paper was about 5.5 pages. The conclusion does not have to go on a page by itself. It just so happened the way this paper laid out that is the way that it occurred. But also consider that you never want to leave headings by themselves at the bottom of a page. You want to make sure that you have some sort of text with your headings. If you have a heading that's by itself at the bottom of a page, please consider moving it to the next page so that it stays with the information it's supposed to be with. And again, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Please take advantage of our online writing center. The link to that can be found on our Blackboard page. And I look forward to reading your research papers.